It's the big story this Thursday. The National Joint Operation and Intelligence Structure saying it's ready for the State of the Nation address tonight. Officials are warning that anybody who violates the law will be dealt with. Natjoints saying their security plans aren't specifically focused on the EFF. The city of Cape Town also says it's prepared for any disruption. Let's get you a better sense of what this looks like. Bring in the Community Safety MEC in the Western Cape, Reagen, who joins us now via our video link. MEC, lovely to chat to you as always. Thanks very much indeed for making time. Natjoints there, of course, speaking about the EFF and how their plans aren't necessarily directed at them. That's because there's still a bit of ambiguity, if you like, about whether or not 6 EFF MPs, including Julius Malema, will be allowed into the venue itself. Now, they haven't said anything about their plans if they're not allowed in, but I'm sure this is something you're considering, given, let's call it, the EFF strategy over the past couple of years.
Ayanda, thank you so much for bringing us into this particular conversation. You are quite correct. We have seen this particular strategy being utilized by the EFF. Ayanda, I'm also at pains to actually indicate that here in our province, in the year 2023, an additional 20.5 million rand had to be paid in order to upskill resources and to ensure that there is actually deployment when there was planned EFF protest action in our province. So it is a political party that has become known to protest, and that protest action can lead to violence. From my side, I have engaged the provincial commissioner. He has confirmed to me that the patrols are in place. It's a joint operation here in the Western Cape between the Metro Police, between law enforcement and the South African Police Service, which will have a number of units, including the public order policing, and the route together with the patrol areas will be upscaled to ensure that there is no violence, so that we can hear tonight the State of the Nation, considering that we have seen that the State of the Nation is in a dire situation, and we definitely wouldn't want any disruption in our province tonight.
Yeah, so MEC, would you say that's the approach? Like you're actually preparing for the eventuality of any violence?
I think in our province we have always been clear that we are wanting to be sure that we can plan for any eventuality, that we want to be proactive in our approach. So it deals with policing, yes, on the one hand, but also if there is planned protest action, or when we ultimately obtain information about planned protests, then we will definitely want to be proactive and be ready. We cannot leave anything to chance. We have often seen when roads, when traffic intersections were literally targeted by EFF members, and there was a number of equipment together with petrol and tires that were located strategically here in our province, but we had to be sure that we can actually obtain the information even from community members to ensure that we don't see any disruptions in our province. And again, like for today, it's a big day. We have seen all in the media with regards to the debacle of the EFF. They have not only showed the disruptions in our communities, but literally in the very parliament that they serve.
That's quite the assertion, MEC. Are you saying that what you were able to find, I mean, I think you mentioned things to do with tires and petrol, are you saying those you suspect were going to be used today, or are these not necessarily related?
It's in the year 2023. I would be remiss, Ayanda, not to take our viewers back, your viewers back to last year. There was 2 particular planned protest action, and the one was literally called by the EFF the Western Cape shutdown. They wanted to literally shut down the Western Cape. However, as the record will now reflect, we were prepared to ensure that we can actually continue to grow the economy here in the Western Cape and not allow those type of political parties to disrupt what we are trying to do here.
I hear you. All right. You know, ideally, MEC, you would want people to be able to sit around a table and have a discussion about these kind of things before resorting to, quite frankly, what might very well be the use of force. Is there room for that kind of discussion, an appeal even, to all parties across the political spectrum, quite frankly, to exercise the level of decorum and etiquette that will see smooth running of operations, both inside the Cape Town City Hall and outside. I mean, one can appreciate that, as some might argue, the DA and the EFF lie on opposing ends of the political spectrum. But there's a common interest here, which is to ensure that we deliver a State of the Nation address that can be heard and followed by everyone.
Thank you, Ayanda, for this particular question and for how you have framed it. From our side, we are definitely clear that we would want political parties to abide by the rules. We would want to ensure that there is the decorum that our democracy actually demands, so that any particular resident, no matter where they are seated tonight, that they would be able to listen to the State of the Nation address. Like I've indicated earlier on, our State of the Nation is in a dire state. We have seen unemployment, crime, rampant crime. We have seen how many of our communities are suffering. Hence, it is so vital that we ultimately get an understanding of what the President is going to say tonight. But the appeal from my side would definitely be is that, yes, it's the year of an election. We are needing to campaign freely. We are needing to engage voters and residents. But ultimately, it must be done in the spirit of fostering democracy. We have a vibrant democracy, but when political parties like the EFF continues to show that they are wanting to be above the law, they are wanting to ultimately have their way and not abide by the rules, ultimately the courts dealt with that particular matter, and now we are seated here to ensure that we can ultimately see that our province is not disrupted, that all the major routes will be patrolled, and like I've indicated, it is upscaled. Yeah. But I say that deliberately, Ayanda, considering that when any resource is upscaled, it's usually because resources are taken from another area, and then that particular area suffers. Like I've indicated, over 20.5 million rand was spent to deploy SAPs and Metro Police officers in the year 2023, which was an additional amount in terms of overtime and subsistence, because we had to upscale, and any person that was on leave or that was off for that particular week in the service had to be recalled so that we can have the numbers in our province. So the EFF's protest, it comes at a cost.
Right. Speaking about the numbers, I wonder if you can break any of those around Sona down for us, MEC. Are you able to give us a sense of, for instance, how many boots you're expecting on the ground, at least in and around the precinct, and perhaps how much that's costing your department at the very least?
At this stage, we are unable to disclose that information, but I can confirm that we are satisfied with the upscaled amounts. But I would be more than happy to directly after this week have a continued conversation with you, because it's so vital, Ayanda, that our democracy thrive, that political parties are able to ultimately campaign. We are campaigning on a track record of good governance, and we will continue to do that here in our province.
Reagen Allen is the MEC for Community Safety in the Western Cape, as always. Thanks very much indeed for your time. Look, a lot being said about the EFF there, so let me just put on the record that we did try to reach out to the EFF, get their take about the events that have taken place over the past couple of days. If the Red Berets would like to respond to this interview, that invitation certainly remains open.